Olivia Warren stood in the opulent office of Dawson Enterprises, her pulse drumming in her ears. In her hands was an envelope containing every penny she'd scraped together in 3 months. At 36, Olivia was no stranger to judgment. A plus-size woman who'd spent her life apologizing for taking up space. She'd learned to shrink herself to make others comfortable. But today, she stood as tall as her 5 feet 6 inches frame allowed, wearing her best purple and cream dress, and a resolve stronger than fear. Across the desk stood Theodore Dawson, the billionaire CEO her late father had owed a fortune to. He was as intimidating as his reputation suggested. Early 40s, dark-haired, sharp-eyed, and composed. His suit fit like armor, and his presence filled the room. "Miss Warren," he said in a low, formal tone, "I've been expecting you." Olivia stepped forward, placing the envelope on his desk. "My father owed you $200,000 when he died 6 months ago. I brought $50,000 as the first payment. I plan to pay the rest over 2 years. I work at a library and took a second job at a bookstore. I can make monthly." Theodore raised a hand. Her words faltered. "Your father was a gambler," he said evenly, weighing the envelope without opening it. "That debt wasn't from business. It was from his losses. I know your financial situation, Miss Warren. This $50,000 represents everything you have, doesn't it?" Olivia lifted her chin. "Yes, but I won't let his mistakes define me. I'll pay what he owed." "And if I told you don't have to?" Theodore set the envelope down. "Your father's debt dies with him. You have no legal obligation." "I have a moral one," she said quietly. "He was my father. His debts are my responsibility." Theodore's expression softened. "Even though he mistreated you? Even though he criticized your weight, your choices, your existence?" Olivia's eyes glistened, but her voice stayed steady. "Because I'm not him. I keep my word, even when no one else would." Something shifted in Theodore's gaze. "Then I have a counteroffer. You owe me nothing except dinner." Olivia blinked. "Dinner?" "One meal. Just you and me. No strings attached. After that, your father's debt is forgiven." She frowned. "You're asking me to have dinner with you in exchange for $200,000? Why?" Theodore moved around his desk and leaned casually against it. "Because I'm lonely, Miss Warren. I have more money than I could ever spend, but no one to share it with. I eat alone in the finest restaurants, while others laugh with family. Your father once told me that his daughter was the only person who ever stood by him despite everything. He didn't deserve your loyalty, but it intrigued me. I wanted to meet the woman with that kind of heart." Olivia's defenses rose. "So this is pity?" "This," Theodore interrupted gently, "is loneliness recognizing loneliness. People look at me and see money, opportunity, power, but never me. You walked in here ready to sacrifice everything to pay a debt you didn't owe. That says more about your character than anything I've ever read in a file. I'd like to share a meal with that woman. Honestly. No games." He looked at her with disarming sincerity, and Olivia felt something inside her shift. "One dinner?" she asked softly. "One dinner," he said. "My only condition, be honest. No pretending, no trying to impress me. Just 2 people sharing a meal. Can you do that?" "I don't know how to be anything but honest," she admitted. "It's gotten me in trouble plenty of times." Theodore smiled, a real, unguarded smile. "Perfect. Tomorrow at 7. I'll send a car. I can take the bus." "Olivia," he said, using her name for the first time, warm and intimate. "Let me do this one thing, please." Still stunned, she nodded. She had come expecting hardship, not kindness. She prepared to fight, not be offered freedom or dinner. The next evening, a sleek black town car arrived at her modest apartment at 6:30 sharp. Olivia had spent an hour fretting over what to wear before settling on a flowing lavender dress that made her feel soft, confident, and, for once, beautiful. When she arrived at the restaurant, Theodore was waiting by the entrance in dark slacks and a crisp white shirt. He looked less like a CEO and more like a man trying to make a genuine connection. "You look beautiful," he said sincerely. "You don't have to say that. This is supposed to be an honest dinner." "I am being honest," he said simply. "You look beautiful, because you look like yourself. That's rare. Inside, they sat at a quiet table tucked away from the crowd. I hope you don't mind, he said. I do my best talking without noise around me. Over dinner, the conversation flowed easily. Theodore asked about her work at the library, her love of books, her second job, and her dreams of writing someday. He listened, really listened, something few people ever did. In turn, he told her about his parents' deaths, about building Dawson Enterprises from nothing, and the loneliness that came with success. Everyone wants something from me, he said softly. Deals, donations, connections. I can't remember the last time someone just wanted my company. I know that feeling, Olivia said, voice low. People see my body and make assumptions. They don't see the person. They decide who I am before I speak. Theodore studied her. And what do they miss? That I'm smart, funny, and have dreams that don't depend on anyone's approval, she said. That I'm worthy of being seen as a whole person. Theodore reached across the table, his touch gentle. I see you, Olivia, the woman who works 2 jobs, honors debt she doesn't owe, and still believes in kindness. That's what I see, and I find it remarkable. Tears stung her eyes. Why are you being so kind to me? Because kindness costs nothing and changes everything, he said quietly. Because you're real, and because this dinner meant to settle a debt has become the best evening I've had in years. He hesitated, then asked, Would you have dinner with me again? Not as payment, because you'd like to. She smiled faintly. And what would you promise in return? To keep being honest, he said. To keep being myself. And who are you really? She asked. He smiled sadly. A man who's tired of pretending success means happiness. A man who hopes he's finally found something genuine in you. They began meeting every Tuesday. Theodore introduced her to elegant restaurants. Olivia brought him to her favorite bookstore and the cozy cafe where she read on weekends. He discovered the joy of feeding ducks in the park and laughing without checking his watch. People noticed. The tabloids buzzed. The billionaire CEO and the plus-size librarian. Theodore ignored every word. When one of his executives made a cruel joke, Theodore silenced him with a single look. Olivia is remarkable. If you can't see that, you don't deserve to work here. Olivia's friends were skeptical. He's rich, Liv. Men like that don't marry women like us. But Theodore kept showing up. He donated anonymously to her library fundraiser. He helped her move to a safer apartment, insisting it was an investment in his happiness, since she was now closer. He met her friends, remembered their names, and held her hand in public as if daring the world to question it. The following evening, right at 6:30, a sleek black car stopped in front of Olivia's modest apartment building. She stood by the window for a long moment before finally locking the door behind her. Her reflection in the glass showed nerves and something else. Hope. The flowing lavender dress she'd chosen wasn't new, but it made her feel soft, graceful, and, if only for tonight, beautiful. When the car pulled up at the restaurant, Olivia's breath caught. She'd seen it only in magazines, a place where reservations were booked months in advance, and entrees cost more than her monthly groceries. Theodore was already waiting near the entrance, wearing dark slacks and a crisp white shirt instead of his usual suit. For the first time, he didn't look like a CO. He looked human. You look beautiful, he said simply, his voice warm. You don't have to say that, Olivia replied, embarrassed. This was supposed to be an honest dinner, remember? He smiled softly. I am being honest. You look beautiful because you look like yourself. Comfortable, confident, real. That's rare and valuable. Inside, he led her to a quiet corner table. I asked for somewhere private. I wanted us to actually talk. And talk they did. For hours. Theodore didn't ask shallow questions. He wanted to know about her life, the library, the books she loved, the stories that made her heart ache. He listened, really listened, when he spoke. He told her about his lonely climb to the top, how success had stolen his peace. Everyone wants something from me, he said quietly. Money, favors, access. No one just wants me. Olivia nodded. I know that feeling. People see what they want. They see my body and think they already know who I am. They decide my worth before I say a word. Theodore leaned closer. Then what do they miss? That I'm funny, she said softly. That I'm smart. That I have dreams that I want to write someday. That I'm not just a body to be judged. I'm a person, and I'm tired of apologizing for taking up space. He reached across the table, his hand warm against hers. I see you, Olivia. The woman who honored a debt she didn't owe. The woman who works 2 jobs, still smiles, still believes in kindness. I see all of you, and I think you're remarkable. Tears stung her eyes. Why are you being so kind to me? Because kindness costs nothing and means everything, he said gently. And because you've reminded me of something I forgot, how to be genuine. The evening stretched on effortlessly. When the waiter cleared the table, Theodore hesitated before asking, Would you have dinner with me again? Not as payment, not as obligation, just because you like to. She hesitated only a second. I think I'd like that. And so it began. 1 dinner became 2. 2 became 5. Tuesdays turned into their night. Theodore introduced her to new experiences. Fine dining, theater, wine tastings. But Olivia introduced him to something far rarer. Normalcy. They wandered bookstores, fed ducks at the park, and ate takeout on her couch while reading aloud from her favorite novels. His staff whispered, his colleagues scoffed. A librarian? Her? But Theodore silenced them with icy precision. If you can't recognize intelligence and worth beyond appearance, the failure is yours, not hers. 1 more comment, and you'll be unemployed. Olivia's friends worried. 2. He's rich, Liv. Men like that don't fall for women like us. Be careful. But Theodore proved them wrong every day. He attended her library's fundraiser, donated anonymously afterward, and moved her to a better apartment closer to him, without fanfare. He held her hand in public, kissed her openly, and made her feel seen in ways she never had before. 6 months after that first dinner, Theodore took her back to the same restaurant. He looked nervous. A first. I need to be honest, he said. That night you came to my office, I'd already decided to forgive your father's debt. It was uncollectible, and I didn't want to punish you for his mistakes. Olivia felt her chest tighten. Then the dinner. It was an excuse, he admitted. A way to meet you. I told myself it was curiosity. I didn't expect to fall in love. He pulled a small box from his pocket, opening it to reveal a simple, elegant ring. I'm in love with you, Olivia Warren. With your honesty, your courage, the way you challenge me and make me laugh. Will you marry me? Her breath caught. I came to pay a debt I didn't owe. You gave me freedom I didn't expect. But what you've really given me is something more, proof that I'm worthy of love exactly as I am. Theodore smiled softly. So is that a yes? Olivia laughed through tears. That's a yes, but I have one condition. Anything, we keep our Tuesday dinners. No matter how busy we get, no matter what changes, just us being honest. He nodded, eyes warm. Deal. The easiest agreement I've ever made. Their wedding was intimate. Friends, a few close colleagues, and people who loved them for who they were. Theodore's toast left no one dry-eyed. I was a man who had everything and nothing. Then Olivia walked into my office ready to sacrifice everything to pay a debt that wasn't hers. She taught me that character matters more than appearance, that authenticity is worth more than wealth. She came to settle a debt, but she saved me from a life without meaning. I will spend the rest of my life proving I deserve her. Applause filled the room. Olivia, glowing and tearful, realized that the debt she'd once feared had been the doorway to a life richer than she'd ever imagined. The big girl who came to pay her father's debt had found not just freedom, but love. The powerful man who believed everything had a price learned that the most valuable things, connection, honesty, and acceptance, can't be bought. Because sometimes the debts we think we owe lead us to blessings we never expected. Sometimes loneliness recognizes loneliness and becomes love. And sometimes, when we're brave enough to show who we truly are, we discover that we were worthy all along. Not despite our flaws, but because of them. If this story touched your heart, please share and subscribe. Sparkling Heart, tell us in the comments.